Hello everyone and welcome to today's Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. It's Monday, the World Championships in Yorkshire have finally started and it feels like we haven't done this for a long time. So without further ado, let's have a transition and get straight into the news and try and get up to date with everything that's happening. Alright, first up, and we'll start with the racing news from over the weekend. It was the first ever World Championship event of the mixed team time trial event. 3 women, 3 men pit themselves against the other nations to see who's going to be crowned the mixed World Championship time trial eventists. Mixed time trial champions. And it won't come as a surprise to see who won the event, and it was the Netherlands who took the rainbow jerseys, meaning that they get to represent their country in that rainbow jersey the next time they race that mixed time trial. Which is probably going to be never, unfortunately. We'll get into that shortly, but let's take a look at the results first. The Dutch took overall victory with a time of 38 minutes and 28 seconds, followed by the Germans in second position, only 23 seconds behind. And in third place, to a surprise to a lot of people, was Great Britain, 51 seconds behind, and only 5 seconds behind them were the Italians. Now, I'll be honest, it wasn't much of a surprise to see the Great Britain team up there, at least fighting for a podium, although they were gifted it a little bit, just a little bit. They still had to work hard. But the fact that one of the Italians, Elisa Longo Borghini, suffered a puncture at a critical time when they were closing in on that time, meaning her 2 teammates dropped her while she changed her wheel. She never actually got back onto them, but she was the strongest out of those 3 riders. So had those other 2 waited, potentially they could have got back into a line of formation. Longo Borghini could have put some big turns in at the front, closed that gap back up for that amount of time that it took to change that wheel, and they potentially could have had that bronze spot. But no, it went to Great Britain, and it's a great start for the home nation. Now, this event is probably going to be nicknamed the Marmite event. Some people loved it, some people hated it, and Johan Bruyneel was pulling no punches when he took to Twitter. This new team time trial discipline for the UCI Cycling World Championships is an absolute joke. Only 10 countries participating, and without their best riders, is quite telling of what teams and riders think about it too. Chris Boardman, on the other hand, he was on the BBC coverage and he absolutely loved it. A lot of people down in the comments responding to Johan Bruyneel's comment on Twitter were in the same boat as Chris Boardman. They all absolutely loved it. They thought it was a great spectacle. Now, I'll be honest, I agree with Johan Bruyneel on some of it. It wasn't a joke, it was a good event. Yes, there was only 10 countries represented in there. However, I've seen Commonwealth Games medals given when there's only been 4 participants. Those 3 teams that stood on that podium more than deserved to be up there. Yes, some of them didn't put their best riders forward for this, but it is a new event and a lot of people and a lot of riders have trained specifically for either the road race or their individual time trial, and they don't potentially want to wreck their legs in what is a very hard effort. Next up, and if this weekend's racing is anything to go by, Matteo Trentin could be the favourite to take victory next week in Yorkshire. Listen, I'm only saying that because he won a race at the weekend, whereas Mathieu van der Poel and the other favourites, they didn't. He won the Trofeo Matteotti. It was 195 kilometres in Pescara. He took the victory from second place, Andre Amador. And in the other big race over the weekend, the Primus Classic, it was Edward Turns who took the victory. Pascal Ackermann finished in second place and Jesper de Burst in third place. And you'll see down there in those results, A1 Mathieu van der Poel, he finished 19th. Greg van Avermaet finished 7th. And Peter Sagan all the way down in 27th position. All those riders though coming in on the same time as the winner. Clearly all those riders just had one eye on the World Championships, probably didn't want to get involved in a mass sprint, end up crashing, injuring themselves for the World Championships. They were all there or thereabouts come the finish, and it's put some decent miles in those legs in preparation for the World Championships. The majority of those riders will now be heading over to Harrogate and getting ready to race next weekend. I cannot wait. Next up, and sticking with World Championship news, Geraint Thomas has pulled himself out of the World Championships time trial on Thursday. He's claiming that he's not in the best shape he could potentially be in to actually get a result out of this time trial championship. So in steps John Archibald, one of the riders in that mixed team time trial relay at the weekend. Geraint is still maintaining that he is going to be riding the World Championship race on Sunday in support of Ben Swift. But now John Archibald will take his position for that individual time trial alongside British national time trial champion Alex Dowsett. And like we said with that mixed team time trial, there were some big names there that weren't participating in that because they've got their eye, you know, one in particular, Alex Dowsett, they've got their eye on taking that individual time trial championship. Same with this, and Geraint Thomas potentially knows he can't get a result in that time trial because he's just not where he needs to be. So he's looking at that road race thinking, right, if I save myself there, I'm going to be even better to be able to support Swifty in this role. So let's put all my eggs in that basket of trying to help Swifty at the World Road Race Championship rather than get a 10th, 11th or 12th at the World Championship time trial. But it's going to be exciting to see how John Archibald goes. This kid is just, well, he's not a kid, is he? He's a man. He's a brute of a man. And soon he's going to take the individual pursuit world record, mark my words, probably that hour record at some point. I've said this before, he's going to take that hour record. And he's also going to have a go at that world record for team pursuit as well with the Who What Bike guys. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think of John Archibald. Let me know how you think he's going to get on. What's your predictions? Is he going to finish top 10? Is he going to finish top 5? Is he going to win it? Who knows? And sticking with the events of the weekend, we were up in the Lake District to cover the Struggle Hill Climb. The Struggle Hill Climb is a charity event set up by the Lakes Road Cycling Club alongside Barrow Central Wheelers, all in aid of the Great North Air Ambulance charity. Over 80 entrants took on the 4.2 kilometre, 8% average climb. Now, if you've never been to a hill climb before, especially one in the Lake Districts, make sure that this one is on your calendar next year. Such a great event set up by great cycling clubs, and what made it even better is the sun was shining. The event was a huge success, and I feel like we should shout out the Push Cartel for setting up the race HQ within their shop, and also Cold Dark North for having the best kind of competition there is on a hill climb, for the best paint face over the event. There was people of all shapes, all sizes taking part, getting stuck in, all for an amazing charity. And I think the winning time was around 13 minutes and 7. That's 30 minutes more than I would like to be climbing. Jesus. If you want an event to take part in next year, then I highly suggest you head up to the lakes for the Struggle Hill Climb in 2020. Next up, and big indoor cycling news, CVR CADE have finally gone into open beta, or beta, depending where you come from. But you can now go online, download CVR CADE and play it for free, finally. Now, for those of you who don't know, CVR CADE World Cups previously took part on Zwift. However, CVR CADE now have their own platform, and their World Cup season is starting soon in open beta with a prize fund of $25,000, and that is only just the start of it. Now, if you want to be involved, the best thing to do, follow the link down in the description. I'm not affiliated, it's not an ad. The guys at CVR CADE said, please, Chris, could you just please promote the fact that there's a huge prize pot up for grabs for riders willing to take part in the CVR World Cup? I said, yeah, I will. So this is me doing it. We're not going to get into the graphics, we're not going to get into the gameplay, we're not going to get into anything other than to say, if you would like to take part in it, now's your chance to get into open beta, get yourself registered, do everything you need to do, and get some bloody practicing. Because one thing I've found with CVR CADE is if you don't practice, oh my geez Louise. Now, I will say this, however, because I don't want people to be put off by CVR CADE thinking massive prize pot up for grabs, all the really fast riders from Zwift are just going to go across to CVR CADE and take all that money, because that's not the case. With physical equalization over on CVR CADE, it means that someone who potentially rides in the D category is just as capable as an A category rider. I don't know how it works, other than I know we've got men, women, boys, girls, cats and dogs all racing together and all having fun doing it. And the last thing I will say about it, talking from experience, not paid to say it, I've never had as much fun racing an online indoor platform as I do when I race CVR CADE. It's annoying, it's bloody frustrating, but when you get it right, there's no better feeling. So yeah, if you want to get involved in it, then feel free to follow the link down in the description, do what you need to do, get on CADE, and hopefully we'll see you on there. I'm going to try and get involved in as many races as I can. The races we raced in the Influencer League were just far too long. It was up to around 2 hours of racing, But these Omnium races that they're doing on CVR CADE are much shorter. I think they're cramming it all into an hour. So it's great that you get a couple of different races throughout that hour to actually try and win some money and some kudos. Now, I think this was the last news story we covered when I was talking about those absolute fuds on those mopeds pushing cyclists off their bikes while they're out on rides, either commuting or training. Well, over the weekend, Cycling Weekly reported this. Cyclist suffers fracture after being thrown from his bike by masked motorbike passenger during a club ride. The 67-year-old needed 9 stitches in his arm after he was left laying in the road. He was riding with Cannon Hill Cycling Club in Birmingham on Tuesday when he fell victim to the unprovoked attack. I'm not angry with the person who did this, just sad that he thinks he has to do something like this to get his kicks. I know you might not be mad and you might have got an ounce of forgiveness for this person that did this, but he could have killed you. He could have killed a cyclist for no reason whatsoever. You could potentially have brain damage. Your family would be without you for the rest of their lives for absolutely nothing. For, like you say, so this guy can get his kicks, which he's probably forgot about right now. He's on to something else. He's probably annoying somebody else, destroying somebody else's life, or just making someone else's life a misery. So what we need to do is get them feds, the 5-0, to find out who this is and to lock them up. I hate to say this, but I feel like we're at a point now where every cyclist needs to be wearing a camera. Every cyclist needs to have a camera front and back so we can catch these people doing it. Yes, I'm sure it is a tiny small minority of people that are doing this. They need to face the consequences of their actions, because their actions potentially could be killing people for nothing, and that's what pisses me off so much. Just drive past them. Just drive past. Don't even get out of the window and shout, "Hey!" Just don't do anything. Just give that person the respect that they would like by driving around them and giving them enough space and just carrying on your way. And if you and your mates want to have some fun between each other, then just shove each other. Hey, give yourself a nuggie or a wedgie. Do that. Don't try and kill a cyclist, all right? Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button if you've not done already. If you've not enjoyed the show for whatever reason, hit that dislike button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, though, so you know when we go live with our brand new Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show videos or our live streams. Until tomorrow, where we have got the World Road Race Championship preview coming. Ish.